into today's session. Today's session, we have the same honorable speaker of yesterday. His name is Aldrin Tan. He's the CEO of Esprit Estate Agency, Real Estate Agent of the Year 2020. And today he will be sharing his 101 tips in marketing industry properties. Okay, yesterday was more based on primary sales. So you can see how versatile this CEO is, moving from primary today to the industrial game. Of course, industrial, you got sub-sale and primary as well, but all the technical context and how you sell it slightly differs. Okay, so hopefully with this session today, it will get you a good guide, a good startup, and a good ideation on how to begin your business in industrial-based properties. All right, so without further ado, let's please welcome the CEO of Esprit Estate Agent. Let's press our reactions button, give him a good thumbs up, give him a good hand clap. He needs your motivation as well, as he is every day motivating you all. So let's motivate the motivator, all right? Let's do it. All right, Aldrin, can we please test your mic?
All right, afternoon, Guy. Can you hear me?
All right, fantastic. I'll stop sharing. You can go ahead.
All right, okay.
Very excited for your session. Let's go.
All right, okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the session. And for those who are new and for those who are not in the, who have not been following our session since the 1st of June that we have been doing on the daily basis, 3 p.m. Okay, my name is Aldrin. I started being a real estate agent in 1995. And I started out by doing a lot of industrial. So in my journey of the last 21 over years, between 1995 to 2010, I still very actively do a lot of sub-sale industrial transaction. And I founded Esprit in the year 2000, also on the basis that, we started doing a lot of projects with major developer. So as what Kai said, my involvement in real estate in terms of on the ground, basically towards industrial and project marketing. So what I'm going to share with everyone today, we all know that since the first MCO, everyone talks about industrial properties, am I right? So there's this craze about, everyone going to industrial. And when I open up iProperty, Property Guru, and I sometimes I drive around them, of course not during this FMCO, I see more and more agents are doing it. Then I pause for a moment, all right, and I put myself in the shoes of let's say the people on the ground. Okay, I'm sure everyone will feel that it's highly competitive, all right, and a lot of myth about this what you call industrial segment. One of the myth is this is a very niche segment. Number two is you need to know a lot of technical knowledge. In actual fact, you don't have to. All right, there's a certain part of it that you need to, but the major part of it you don't have to. So what I'm going to share with everyone today will be a bit of a statistic of where the market is today. Where are the areas that if you are interested to market industrial properties, these are the areas that you may want to look at. Where will be the future hotspot? This part is very interesting. And also what type of properties that you are able to sell, and who will be the one that is using it, who will be the one that is buying it, am I right? So you see why this information are important, regardless of whether you are totally new and you want to start marketing industrial properties, or you're already doing it, is because there's one reason, as I say this many times, okay? If you want to have a very good successful business in terms of your transaction, in terms of closing a lot of deal, you must be able to break the barrier into that particular segment. Every segment or every business that you go in, there's always a barrier. So knowing some of this information will help you to be able to penetrate the barrier easier, so that whatever that you do, okay, you will see a better result. I am one person, all right? I always look at simplistic way in terms of penetrating the market and closing the deal. For a start, you don't have to do anything out of the box. If once you are in the market, you manage to penetrate, do as what the rest of the agents are doing, your efficiency will be better. All right, so without further delay, let me just share my screen. Okay. Okay, can see everyone. Okay, Okay, let's start. So this is 101 tips of how to market industrial properties. Think simplicity, all right? Don't complicate matters. This segment, at the end of the day, you will discover that you don't need much of a technical one, all right? Okay, and the only segment that you need a lot of technicals is just a very small segment of the whole industrial segment. Okay, so now, so where does the industrial segment stand today? Okay, so let's start off with some statistics, all right? So, so we have how many states in Malaysia? Oh my God, my geography or history, 13 states or 14 states? Okay, so in terms of composition of industrial transaction, all right, by states, so this is what you will see over here. Okay, this is the 2019 data, all right? The 2020 data that has already been released, but it's not so detailed yet. But in terms of the ratio, the volume of transaction, Selangor is the major state where most of the industrial transaction happens, followed by Johor and also followed by Sarawak as well. So Selangor itself in 2019 consists of the 35% of the total volume of industrial property transacted, either primary or sub-sale in the whole of Malaysia. So the two major states, number one would be Selangor, number two would be Johor. So I believe most of the audience today will be from Selangor and Johor, right? Okay, so if you are in Selangor and you are in Johor, you are actually in the gold mine, all right? So the deals, all right, the potential of you able to close the deal is just right at the doorstep. So so you go all the way up will be Sarawak, Perak, Penang, and all the way to Putrajaya. So another word is this: let's establish the fact you are in Selangor, you're in Johor, the business is already there, the market share is already there. Okay, so that is one. Now, number two, let's look at last year transaction. So this is a NAPIC transaction. So look to your left, you will see the volume, all right? The volume of transaction by residential, by agriculture, by development land, by commercial, by industrial. Industrial 1.6% only. Oh my God. So can you imagine the volume of transaction, all right? Out of the almost 295,000 or 300,000 property transacted, all right? Either sub-sale or primary market. Industrial only consists of less than 2%. So another word is, wow, this must be super niche, am I right? So is that enough deal for everyone to actually go around? Are there enough volume of transaction to be spread across how many negotiators on the ground today? Yeah? I never have the correct figure. I was told it's about 30,000. If it's like that, then how can you make money out of the industrial segment? But then on the other hand, you see there's, I'm sure you know there are industrial agents who are highly successful and they can earn like, you know, 500,000, more than 1 million of net commission for themselves. And how do they do that? All right. So, so if you were to look at the volume of transaction of industrial versus the rest, then yes, the answer is this is super niche. All right. But we in this segment, it will not be a niche segment, all right? Now, I will explain to you why. So look at this 2019 data, okay? Again, 2020, you know, the volume of transaction last year in terms of industrial was about 4,000 over. It's actually dipped about 20% as compared to 2019. The sub data of how many terrace semi detached transacted has not been released by NAPIC yet. But let's look at 2019. It's not about the exact data, it's the composition and the ratio. And I'll explain to you why after this slide, you will know that which is the segment that you need to go within the industrial, and you will know why that this is not very niche, okay? So if you look at the 2019 data, so in 2019, all right, in 2019, there was 6,261 industrial property transacted. This is broken down into what you see on the left. 1960 terrace factory, semi-D was about 1,005. Detached factory is about 700 over transaction. You have industrial complex, the super big warehouse, those that you see they're very big. Probably, for example, like Maple Trees, those kind of warehouses, a super big one. And then you have others. Others in includes land. All right. So now, what can you deduct? Okay, focus on the left statistic. What is the deduction? Okay. So now, if you are going into industrial, okay, the first thing first is you want to penetrate the market easier, and you also want to see that your result is there. All right, because your result is one of the things that will motivate you. Am I right? You cannot be doing a segment for 1 year and you close no deal. How are you going to be motivated? What if you try to penetrate the segment and within 3 months you start closing deal, and right after that you close one after another? Don't you think you'll be motivated? You will be. Am I right? So now the point that I'm trying to make by showing everyone today on the statistic on the left is, you think about it. A lot of people say the market is niche, number one, in terms of industrial. Number two, you need super high technical, you need a lot of information, you need a lot of knowledge to do industrial. Is because most of the people, when they go into the industrial, especially for those who have not been doing industrial, the first thing is, I want to do big factory. Am I right? I want to do those, 80,000, 100,000, okay, rentals about 150, one rental case, you get about 200,000. Now, those are what I call the logistic segment. All right. So logistic segment, basically you deal with a lot of third-party logistic player, Century, BKT, Schenker. So these are the couple of major third-party logistic. Now, that particular logistic segment in terms of warehouses, number one is super competitive. Number two is lack of supply. Number three, the players in terms of the owners, in terms of the tenant, and also in terms of the agents, all right, that has been doing it for quite a while or has successfully penetrated into this market. This is the part, this is the segment that you may not want to start your industrial journey first, all right? Instead, go into terrace, semi-detached, and also vacant land, all right? So now, if you look at it, terrace, semi-detached, and the others, which is land, consists of more than 50% of the 6,261. The industrial complex, the large big warehouses or the large factory, only 96 transacted. So why go into a segment that is already niche and you go even lagi niche, all right, in that sense, okay? So it doesn't make sense, yeah? And that is a super fierce competition. Agents who are already there, they will know in and out. If you try to co-broke with them, I can tell you they will already have their client. Yeah, and this is what I see, because in S3 we have a couple of agents that specialize in industrial, what do you call warehouses on the logistics side. Information is already at the fingertips. All right, they will know which are the tenants coming in, where is the market going, and they will know who are the prospective client of the third party logistic. So in short, start with terrace, semi-detached, and also vacant land. So this is a part, and when you go in, all right, you will see better result. And you think about it, terrace, factory, semi-detached. What spec are we talking about? The width, the length, the depth, the height, the floor loading, and pretty much that's about it, all right? So a terrace factory is also like your shop lot, your shop offices, 2-story, 3-story shop officer. So pretty much the same one. So if you has been, let's say, a marketing shop lot, then you can also do terrace factory. It's the same. So what technical are we talking about? Not much. Yes, of course, there's a bit that you need to know, all right? Floor loading, you don't really have to know in terms of terrace factory. You just need to get the information, and that is good enough. You just pass to your client. So it's the same as semi-D as well, all right? And detached as well, all right? So, so another word is, if you are looking into industrial segment, you will be better off by starting into terrace, semi-D, detached, and also vacant land. And the beautiful part of it is this: if you look to your right, okay, if you look to your right, out of the 6,261 units, all right, of industrial property transacted in 2019, 2,555 industrial that was transacted is more than 1 million. So another word is almost 40% of industrial transaction value at 1 million above. Now, how does this translate into your business in terms of your return? Now, for those who are doing residential, you just Google, NAPIC, and you see what is the average link houses in Malaysia. Okay, what is the average, what you call even semi-D houses? So the point I'm trying to make is this: if you are in the industrial segment, out of 10 cases that you close, S&P cases, at least 40% will be 1 million and above. Am I right? So at least 40% will be 1 million above, as what the statistics show today. Don't you think your income, your return is better by closing one deal? All right. So those days when I do industrial, when I'm still very actively on the ground, this is the target that I tell myself. Every quarter, I want to sell one semi-D, and those days the semi-D is just about 2 to 3 million. So every quarter, I want to sell one semi-D. So if it's 3 million, means in one year and 4 quarters means I can close 12 million. All right, just 12 million of semi-D. Yeah, all right, just 4 only. And I tell myself I want to sell one piece of industrial land, 1 to 2 acres. Okay, and just sell one a year. That is my target. So 4 semi-D, 1 industrial land, those days, about 1 acre is about 3 million to 5 million. Okay, and I tell myself every month I need to close a rental case of at least a link factory or a semi-D every month. Now, in short, I'm able to earn more than 500,000 averagely, and we're talking about in the late 90s all the way to 2000, maybe 2007, 2008. So you see, this is very focused, very niche. Yes, that's what you think so. But then you think about it. If you go into terrace semi-D detached, it's not that niche. Yeah. Okay. So now let's look at a bit of further statistic as well. This is 2019 demand versus supply. So what you see over here are the breakdown of the transaction that I've shown in the previous slide. Existing supply is the supply that's already in the market. What you want to see is the future supply coming in. All right. So if you look at it, future supply will be 3,008, which is probably a double up of what has been transacted in 2019. Semi-D is about also almost double up. Okay, now these are just data. Okay, and one of the reasons why those who are in the industrial segment that has already been doing it, or those who recently went in beginning of last year, why they are enjoying a very what do you call a better sales, all right, in terms of probability of able to close the deal, is due to this. Okay, so the previous slide I've summarized the whole thing because there are just too many figures. How do we even make sense of the data? So what I did is this. I did a ratio of overhang plus future supply versus 2019 transaction. Again, I'm using 2019 because 2020 we don't have the full data yet. All right, but the ratio is almost the same. So this is a ratio of overhang plus future supply versus 2019 transaction. Okay, so if you look at it, landed terrace semi-D houses, residential, 2019 there are 115,000 transaction, and existing supply then was about 3.2 million. Scary. Overhang was 17,000. Future supply was 438,000. The ratio, all right, is 4. Meaning to say, if I were to plus the overhang plus future supply divide by the volume of transaction on that particular year, landed houses, landed terrace semi-D detached houses, residential is 4 times, 4-fold, all right. Apartments is 12-fold. We all know that there's severe overhang of apartments, am I right? But if you look at industrial, it's only 2-fold. So what does that mean? It means that supply and demand is better matched as compared to apartments and compared to landed residential. So if you are already in the in the industrial segment, or if you are planning to go in, and especially for those who are already in the industrial segment, if your sales doesn't go up since July last year, means you've got to relook at how you carry out your business within the industrial segment. Because for those who are able to penetrate the market well, last year was a fantastic year. This year we are just quite at the beginning of the first going into the now it's already second quarter, am I right? And we go into another lockdown. Okay, now, So why industrial seems to be interesting now? All right. Since everyone started talking about industrial last year, yes, a lot of people talk about e-commerce, e-commerce, e-commerce. Am I right? But you look at something slightly deeper. Okay. Real estate investment and real estate market or sentiments, the bottom line is actually the trend. Okay. So now, how do you even make sense of this? Now, if you look at this, this is a graph that shows you the volume versus the value of industrial. So the volume is actually the blue, what you call the blue bar. Okay. So now I would want you to bring the attention on how the volume of transaction has been since from 2002 to 2020, especially from 2000, let's say somewhere around here. So you look at it, 2008, okay, the market start picking up, but you see industrial volume of transaction peak at 2012. I'm talking about the peak. That means over the last 20 years, the peak, the super peak was in 2012. Okay. And right after that, 2013, the volume of transaction went down, 2014 went down, 2015 went down, 2016 went down, 2017 went down, 2018 slowly picking up, 2019 pick up. So that's why last year and 2020, people talk about, hey, the industrial market is coming back. Now, there is a huge significance of this, all right, because if you look at this, so what is this green color graph signify? This green color graph signify the total volume of property transacted. Okay, so so the green one is the total volume of property transacted, residential, industrial, commercial, and whatever real estate that is transacted. Now this is the volume. Now think about it. Okay, look at this 2012 industrial volume peak. Okay, but the market volume of transaction only peaked in 2015. So another word is this, okay, the industrial property actually started to slow down way ahead of residential and commercial properties. Generally, okay, the market starts slowing down in 2016, 17, and also 18. Am I right? But industrial already starts slowing down in 2013. So now, okay, simple logic thinking, whatever that slow down first will start to pick up ahead of the rest of the rest of the segment. That's why industrial segment today seems to be more favorable, all right, as compared to residential, compared to commercial. I was just reading an article, Capital Land, all right. You know, they are also going into industrial segment in terms of their investment, whereas previously they have acquired a lot of more and also some of the office block. All right. So in short, there's actually a pent-up demand. Okay, there is a pent-up demand of industrial. Why? Because the market has been depressed in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17. My God, 5 years, you know. All right. So now, okay. So I know some of you are logging in from Johor. So this is the statistic of transaction that I have actually got from NAPIC. This is based on 2020. And what you see over at the bottom here are the classification of district by NAPIC. You have Johor, Johor Bahru, Kota Tinggi, Pontian, Klang, and so on and so forth, all the way to Ledang. What you can see is, of course, NAPIC also break down into 4 types of property that are transacted: vacant land, terrace, semi-D, detached. Now, let's not get into too details. Let's look at where the market is, or where the markets are in Johor. Basically in Johor Bahru, okay. So those who are in Johor, I'm not sure whether you can concur to this as well, since you are on the ground. The other one will be Kulai Jaya, Muar area as well, Muar Batu Pahat. So these are the 3 major district or area in Johor where there is a concentration of industrial, what you call transaction. So basically Johor Bahru area, Muar and Kulai Jaya. All right. Now, how about in Selangor? Okay, in Selangor, then of course you have the district of Petaling, Klang, Kuala Langat, what else? Kuala Selangor, Sabah, Bernam, all the way to Sepang. So if you were to look at vacant plot, Okay, again, this is the volume of transaction by district. So this is a trend that you see for vacant plot. This is for terrace factory. Yeah. Okay. So Mukim Petaling, of course, will be there's a lot of transaction for terrace factory. Shah Alam is under Mukim Petaling, by the way. Then this is Samidi. All right. And what you will see over here will be, of course, detached factory. Okay, remember the large warehouses, the detached, the super big one, they tend to, there's only a small segment of, in terms of ratio of the volume of transaction compared to the total overall industrial transaction. So basically, the area that you will be looking at will be Petaling and Klang. All right. So Westport, Westport, Northport, Shah Alam area. This is where you will be looking at. Okay. And then of course the other side of Klang Valley will be Hulu Selangor and Hulu Langat. Yeah. So this is also the area of concentration of what you call the industrial property transaction. Now, okay. So basically, that is where the market is, a bit of a statistic. And let's look at the outlook. Okay. Now, so as I said earlier on, there seems to be a buzz about industrial segment, and there's a bit of a craze. A lot of investors who has been investing in industrial are coming back. All right, are coming back for one simple reason. As what you see earlier on that I shared, the industrial peak volume peak at 2012. So it starts slowing down from 2013 all the way to 2017-18. So again, it has been depressed for quite a while. So the pent-up demand. Now also the second reason will be the boom of e-commerce. In short, if you look at this, okay, between 2016 to 2021, Malaysian e-commerce has grown by 6 times. Tremendous, all right. I'm sure other countries as well. All right. So, but the one in Malaysia, what you see over here, the statistic go by 6 times. Now, this is highly interesting. Okay, so I was reading this report, but I just snapshot what I read. So if you look at the global e-commerce market ranking and the annual growth, compound annual growth rate, CAGR, okay, the top 5 countries by percentage of CAGR growth, 2018 to 2012. Number 1 is India, number 2 is Malaysia. Okay, so we're talking about global e-commerce, So again, there is a huge need of a demand of warehouses. And when the e-commerce, okay, where the market is heading is, of course, e-commerce, everything is digitalized. Malaysia is also going into the last mile delivery. Okay, last mile delivery meaning to say towards in the near future, when you buy a product online, let's say in the morning, all right, maybe before 11 a.m. Okay, you probably go into Lazada or Shopee and you just click and buy, and that good will arrive on the same day. All right, so this is where last mile delivery is. Again, this is a segment that is pretty new, still at what you call at the very infant stage. But any countries where the e-commerce is growing, last mile delivery is highly important. So that's why in terms of the outlook of industrial, if you ask me, Malaysia market is actually quite pretty interesting. All right. Okay. So now look at it, and I think we also have studied this when we are in high school or probably in primary school. I remember how the Indians and the China they actually met in Malacca. Am I right? If you remember your history, where Malacca is actually one of the world trading port as well. And why? Because the Straits of Malacca is actually one of the busiest shipping route in the world. Okay, so and the fact that if you look at this, okay, Port Klang, okay, Westport is the 12th busiest port in the world. Yeah, you think about it. Yeah, the 12th busiest port in the world. So, so why? Because of the geography, the geographical location of the Strait of Malacca. Okay, in terms of our world shipping route, in terms of trade wire shipping. Okay, so now top 10 preferred industrial property features. Um, so what do you even make sense out of this? Okay, yeah, okay. Nowadays, gated guarded cells. Okay, I'm talking about industrial. Okay, stability of utility is very important. Okay, you have security, good internet, close to supply chains, near public, near ports and things like that. Let me just summarize this whole thing for you. Okay, if you look at industrial, the most important thing is actually accessibility and highway. All right, highway connectivity to seaport to airports. These are the two things. All right, so traditionally this is what it is. Okay, and you pause for a moment of time. All right, for those who are in the market, probably let's say over the last 10-15 years. Okay, the last time the whole market where the developers go into developing a major industrial park, as I remember, was in the early 90s and mid 90s. That's why you have areas like in Selangor, like Glen Marie, Bukit Raja, okay, Bukit Jelutong. These are the area. Am I right? And for a spade, after that, after the Asian financial crisis, between 2001 and 2 and all the way until recent years of just 2 years ago, you don't really see a lot of major developers that go in to create and to build a major industrial park until very recently. Okay, so now why is that so? Is because for a couple of reasons. Okay, traditionally, of course, many years ago, there was a lot of Japanese, a lot of Taiwanese that came in, and soon right after that, they start leaving Malaysia. So Malaysia became less of a competitive country as compared to our neighboring countries, like even like Indonesia, like Vietnam, Cambodia as well. All right, and of course, we're also affected by in the late 90s when China start coming out to be the world factory. All right, so for a span of many years, there's not much of an industrial development until recently. So connectivity, highway is very important. So now, so let's look at the bigger picture. All right. So I've shown you statistics of where are the concentration of volume of transaction in Johor in terms of the district and also in Selangor as well. But let's look into a bigger picture. Okay, I call it the golden triangle of industrial property between 2020 to 2030. Now, if you are in the state of Selangor, okay, like I said, the huge super gold mine is actually you are stepping on it. You're stepping on it. So where is the market going in terms of industrial? Where will be the hotspot? Yeah, so I call this the golden triangle. If you are already doing industrial and you happen to be in Selangor, or if you are planning to go into industrial segment and you are in Selangor, you may want to take note of this golden triangle. And once you are able to penetrate within this area, the next 10 years will be a very good year for you. Okay, so let's look at the map of Selangor. What you see that is shaded on the left, of course, that is District Klang, Bokim Klang, all right, all the way from Klang to Shah Alam. So, of course, you have your West Port, you have North Port, you have your West Port, yeah, you have your Telogong area, the usual, then you have the Shah Alam industrial area, from section 16 all the way to 30 plus Kota Kemuning Berjaya Industrial Park. Okay, so most of it are not really new. Okay, and you see the recent craze in Westport, as we all know, IKEA distribution center is already there, and also PKP also have bought a large plot of land in Westport. Why? Mainly due to the fact that there is a lack of supply in Northport. Okay, so this is traditionally the area where a lot of agents will look into it. Okay, then of course you have another segment of here will be towards what you call Shah Alam area, and then over here will be Puncak Alam, Mukim Ijo. All right, all the way to northwest will be Kuala Selangor. Now, as I mentioned, highway is super important. So a couple of new highway in addition, all right, in Klang Valley and in the state of Selangor will be a WCE. Those who attended James Tan Rain and Horn session, I think last week. Okay, he also mentioned WCE. Now, of course, Guthrie Corridor. You have one of the later addition, LATA, and of course you have a Dash Highway. Now, if you look at this will be a highly interesting part of it. Okay, what you see over here shaded that is a bit brownish. Okay, and also in terms of the blue area. Okay, so Klang area, Shah Alam area. So they have been there for quite a while. There's still some pocket of new development, but this is what is happening because of WCE and also the Lata Highway. Okay, that will link you to North-South Highway. Lata will also link you to KL North, all right, Kepong Segambut area. There is a sudden huge interest of Puncak Alam. All right, for example, EcoWorld, LBS, and a couple of developers are doing industrial park over there. Yeah, and we handle quite a lot of developers, industrial developers. Over the last 6 to 9 months, I've been getting clients who ask me to do research and consultancy on the district of Kuala Selangor as well. Okay, so this is an area that is, if you ask me, is really up and coming for one simple reason. Okay, for example, Bukit Raja today, land price about 150 ringgit averagely. Okay, North Port is about 100 plus, West Port now is about 70 plus. Okay, the Telogong now should be about 60 plus to 70 plus. All right, spill over from West Port. Now, if you look at it, pause for a moment of time. Why would this pink color will be a future hotspot? Okay, from my perspective, for one simple reason. Okay, industrial warehouse rental has been quite very stable over the last 5 to 8 years. Okay, but land cost has been going up. For example, in Glenmarie in 2008, a piece of land per square foot, a detached land in Glenmarie in 2008 is about 70 ringgit. Rental is at 150. Construction cost is at 90 ringgit. Anyone that go into Glenmarie, buy 1 acre of land, build 30,000 square feet of warehouse, and they rent it out for 150, their return is 12%. 12%. Okay. Now, today, Glenmarie rental is still about 150 to 180, but the land price now has shot up to about 280. Last transaction was just about somewhere July last year. So 280 ringgit per square foot for a piece of land. You build a factory, now construction cost is about 130 ringgit, and you still rent it out at 150. Industrial player who invest in property is no longer able to do so. So for many years, that's the reason why also for many years, those who have been investing in industrial properties, they don't find any interesting thing to buy in industrial from 2014, 15, 16, and 17 onwards. As what the graph also showed, that the market actually slowed down in terms of the volume of transaction. But because of the new highway, the new connectivity, it gives a new lease of life to the industrial segment. Let's say, for example, Puncak Alam today is between 70 plus to 80 plus. Rental rate is about $1 to $1.20. Construction cost is about 130 ringgit. Anyone that go into industrial land today in Puncak Alam, okay, if you were to buy 1 acre, you build 30,000, you probably spend about 7 million. Your return will be at least about 7 to 8%. Yeah, and one thing why I myself love industrial investment is for one simple reason, because we buy land based on per square foot, we construct also based on per square foot, and we rent it out also based on per square foot if you're talking about detached. So you can actually calculate your projection of return quite pretty accurate one, okay? Because everything will be based on per square foot. All right, so if you're looking into the future, the Golden Triangle, Selangor, this area, bear in mind, highly interesting, and you wouldn't want to miss that. Okay, so segment of prospect. So for those who are thinking of going into industrial segment, so who will be buying? Who will be renting? This is a very common question when we try to sell an industrial property to to someone who are not very familiar in investing in industrial properties. Am I right? So I've broken down into something a bit general. Okay, so basically there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From my perspective, there are 6 types of classification of prospect, depending on whether semi-D, detached, or what kind of industrial properties. But basically, of course, when you talk about industrial, it's manufacturer. Number 2 is a trading company, or you can call it SME these days. Number 3 will be logistic company, mainly third-party logistic. Number 4, people will use it for commercial and services. Okay, and number 5 will be using it for office. Yes, using it for office. And of course, there will be investors who buy and to rent it out to manufacture, trading company, logistic, commercial, and also office usage. So this is actually the classification in terms of generally who will be the likelihood of your client, or what would they use for. All right. So now let's look into something slightly deeper, but not too deep. In terms of investors, you could be dealing with REIT companies. Normally they go into detached warehouses, industrial land. Yes, all right. If they see a huge opportunity, but most of the time they want something that is ready with the tenant, and because REIT company will need to give to their return to the shareholders. Am I right? Okay. And private investors, okay, they will go into link factories, they will go into semi-D, they will go into detached warehouses, they go into the industrial land. So if you are in the industrial segment trying to sell industrial properties, okay, and if you are dealing with industrial, private investors, these are the 4 things that they will look at. Yeah. So depending on what is their appetite. Okay. So now, if you are doing industrial properties where the segment is towards manufacturer, yeah, normally manufacturer will go in detached warehouse, or they will buy industrial land. This part will be lower volume of transaction. Now, let me just give you one example. Okay, if you have a listing of, let's say, 50,000 square feet, all right, of a factory, yeah, and either the location is in Northport, okay, of course, Northport basically is a warehousing area, logistic area. So, and if you were to actually elevate this factory and you put it in the industrial area where most of the occupants are doing manufacturing, if you are the agent, my point is this: if you are doing Northport, if you are doing an industrial area where most of the tenant or buyers or occupants are manufacturing segment, your volume of transaction will be less, because every time when the manufacturer move into a facilities or into a factory, they will plan at least 15 to 20 years. All right, because for them to move is actually a high cost. It can go into millions of ringgit. So, so personally, those days when I still very actively on the ground closing industrial deals, I try to avoid the segment where manufacturer will be interested. Okay, I tend to go into warehousing segment because faster, all right, volume of transaction. Okay, so trading company will be SME, all right, trading distribution companies. If you are in the segment where it attracts, let's say, trading company, SME, SMI, then you can get a mixture of rental and SPA cases, mostly on link factories, on semi-detached factories, on detached factories as well. Okay, semi-D detached factories. And logistic company basically will be near seaports. Okay, so if you are doing industrial, you have warehouses that is near seaport, you tend to have a logistic company that is going to be a tenant, and they need good accessibility and highway. Yeah. Okay, very active rental. Now, why is that so? Is because there's a huge demand for logistic company. On averagely, my company transact more than 1 million square feet of warehouses a year. Now, it may sound, well, that's a lot. Actually, it's also not a lot, because each warehouse is about 120,000 to 200,000 square feet. So in a year, when we close 6 or 7 means it's 1/1,000,000. Okay, but you see, there is a lot of rental transaction that's happening in the logistics segment. because some of these huge warehouse that our client rent, especially the third-party logistic, their efficiency of usage is not 100%. It's probably only maybe 90, all right? And there's always this 10-15% where they also need to get another tenant in. So sometimes our recurrent income, so to speak, is to help them to sublet. Yeah, so that's what we do. Okay, so now logistic segment is one that you need to know quite a lot of technical. All right, in terms of loading, in terms of cubic space, in terms of what type of racking, in terms of what kind of loading dock, in terms of what kind of loading bay, what is the specification, what is the turning radius. Yes, this part of it, as I said, if you are planning to go into industrial, and if you want to have an easier path of penetrating into this market, personally, I would say avoid this segment first. All right, go into semi-detached factory and detached. All right, detached and a smaller detached. You can see a better result for you. Okay, not because you are not capable. Don't get me wrong. It's just that this logistic placement is super highly competitive. The agents got to be very knowledgeable, because if not, the client will not even want to deal with them. Yeah, okay. So the other segment will be commercial and services. Companies that use it for semi-commercial usage, for example, showroom, 5S center, curtain shop, you know, they will use semi-D that has a commercial value. What do I mean by semi-commercial value? Okay, if you have a semi-D factory in Bukit Kayu Hitam, let's just say, all right, or as compared to if you have a semi-D in PJ, okay, they are both semi-D, yeah, but in PJ, okay, obviously you have a better commercial value where people can use it for showroom and things like that, all right? But if you are in the area where there is not much of commercial activities, even though it's actually a semi-D industrial, you can't really rent it for commercial usage. And that is a huge reason why developers, you know, starting from 2008, there was a boom of a developer that built semi-Ds, you know, mostly it started in Kota Damansara, you know, and why is that so? Is because if you are investors, when you buy an industrial property from a developer land cost for industrial is cheaper than commercial, am I right? Even though when they build and they charge you slightly a premium for industrial semi-D, the location is good. When you buy over and you rent it out, you are able to rent at the semi-commercial rental, which is higher than the usual industrial rental. So that is a span of time between 2008 and up to 2014-15, there was this craze of semi-Ds today as well. Okay, so the main reason is when you want to buy a semi-D or if you're selling a semi-D factories, you got to remember whether the location has a commercial value or not. Okay, so okay, and next, office space. Yeah, why people would use industrial unit as office space? Number one, lower rental per square foot, cheaper parking. Literally, semi-Ds you get parking, right? Or even a detached and semi-D you get parking. It's a trend as newly built semi-D detached factories have nicer facade. Okay, I remember in 2008 when Paramount approached me and asked me to market Surian Industrial Park. That was one of the first industrial properties that Paramount was developing. All right, that was in 2008. Now, I remember it was about 9,600 square feet of build up, about 9 to 11,000 land, and they were selling at 2.9 to 3.1 million. Okay, Kota Damansara 2008 2009. Okay, 3.1 million leasehold. Tamasha is already very mature, only 2.5 freehold with ready tenant. So when I got appointed means first thing is got to sell lah. Of course, you want to close deal, am I right? So I start approaching my client, you know, and all my clients say, Aldrin, are you crazy? Tamasha will be a better location, so-called then, right? Okay, already freehold, lower price, and they already can have a tenant. Okay, why go and buy a leasehold area? Now, why is that so? Is because for one simple reason. Okay, now if you look at the whole Kota Damansara, so commercialization, that's very important. The whole of Kota Damansara from LDP, of course, you have the IKEA area, then you have the Dataran Sunway, then you have a residential area, and you go further in, it's actually the industrial area. So to me, I know there's already a lot of commercial activities. So in short, I personally saw quite a lot of unit in the Surat Industrial Park is because for one simple reason, other than getting investors to come in, what I did was I went to Dataran Sunway. I literally knocked at every single corner lot, okay, and proposed to them, why don't buy a unit in Surat Industrial Park, a semi-D, 2-story, 40 by 80 floor plate. It has a lift, the facade is super nice, and you have your own car park, as compared to you go to a Dataran Sunway, corner lot, 6,000 square feet, you have no car park, and you still have to pay car park. All right, so that marketing plot actually works. Okay, so a lot of people are using semi-D as an office space. Okay, so type of industrial properties you can market and is shift of usage. Okay, now one of the things is as what I mentioned is commercialization earlier on that I mentioned. Very same thing. You look at Jalan Marov. Jalan Marov, of course, this is what you see residential being used for commercial. SS2 as well. All right, okay. So what you see over here, this is Jalan Kemajuan. You can see some restaurant over here. These are industrial factory. Yeah. Okay. So another word is a lot of industrial properties where it's located in the area that's commercial activities. It's actually used semi-commercially. This is of course in Glenmarie, opposite my office, a semi-D people are using at the showroom. Okay, Glenmarie, opposite the LRT Line 3 station. Banks are using a semi-D factory. Okay, now this is an interesting part. PJS, I believe it's PJS 11. All right. Leasehold property. This was one of the areas that I used to market many years ago. And I remember in 2005 or 7, I have a couple of times asked me to sell their link factories, as what you see over here in Sunway. Yeah? And it was so tough to sell those days because number one, the lease is 80 plus or maybe slightly below 90. Number two is the rental return is not that fantastic. But look at what is happening today. So this is a picture that I got from Google. Look at the tenant mix. The tenant mix is very different. You see family mart, you see restaurant, you see a lot of mini marts and a lot of cafes as well. So if you happen to go to those link factories that's next to a Sunway Unicity, all right, a lot of them are not using it as what it was meant to be many years ago. Now, if you are an owner who own a property, like what you see over here, over the last 15, 20 years, you are enjoying a very good return. Okay, super good return because those who run a restaurant, those who run a mini mart, they are able to pay a higher rental than those who maybe say doing it for, I don't know, just warehousing or trading. Yeah, okay. So terrace usage, of course, trading services, office, commercial usage, and industrial. So this is what you will get. Okay, so so a bit of terrace factory slight requirement. What you see over here is the traditional way of building a terrace factory. We call it the 1.5 story, and the roof will always slope down. These days, you know, developers that are building, okay, they will also want to ensure that the roof doesn't slope down, so that you can have a minimum height of 20 feet, 25 feet, and or you can even build a 2-story as well. So there's a very common nowadays, a terrace factory are 2-story. Okay, yeah. Some of the basic knowledge you need to know. Clearance of shutter is 15 feet. Yeah, okay. Now, a couple of things to look for when you are marketing link factories will be minimum 25 feet, minimum 60 feet. This is the minimum acceptable, all right? Especially if it's, there's a commercial usage of the link factories, okay? But if let's say the link factories is in the area where it's meant for small, medium industry, sometimes 25 feet of width may not be enough. All right. So there was a spate where, you know, some of the link factories that I came across when the width is 20 feet or 25 feet, rentability or sellability is not as good at 30 feet. Yeah. But if you are in an area where there's a commercial activities, even a 25 by 60 is actually already good enough. So some of the minimum spec that you need to know. All right, for industrial usage of a terrace factory, minimum width is 30 feet width. You got to be more than 100 amps. Shutter clearance more than 15 feet. You it's a requirement. You need to have double volume of storage space. Floor loading got to be at least 5 kilonewton per meter square. But if let's say the terrace factory is within an area that is commercial usage, let's say as what I showed in the earlier slide, the terrace factory in Sunway, a minimum of 25 feet width is already good enough. Electricity 60 amps or even 100 amps is already good enough. Shutter clearance can be even by lower than 15 feet because people are not using it for container to go in at all. All right, not much of heavy loading and unloading. Double volume may not be necessary. So the reason why I'm showing this is because for one simple reason. Lately, there's quite a lot of developer that build terrace factory. Okay, and some of the agents, when I notice when they look at the sales kit, they say, "Wow, double volume can man. People need the big volume one. You know, the double volume one. This is 2-story but no double volume. Then how? Sometimes when they try to sell to their client who has been investing in industrial properties, then their client say, hey, cannot lah, you need to have double volume. Yours is a 2-story. You know, people wouldn't want to rent it. But if let's say the area that you're selling has a potential of a commercial value, a 2-story terrace factory may make a lot more sense than the 1.5 that give you the double volume. So that is the point that I'm trying to make. Okay, so let's move on to next. Okay, so look at some of the value. This is Sunway, just an intermediate terrace factory here of 1.5 story. Asking rental is already 8,000. Pretty good because of commercialization of usage in that area. Selling price, asking price is about 2.4 million. Okay, Subang High Tech is another one behind Central Sugar Refinery. You know, this is 20, I believe is 20 feet or 25 feet by 80 is going for 1.15. Now look at this statistic. So this is District Petaling that I did analysis between 2015 to 2020, 5 years. So within 5 years in the district of Petaling, there were 1,148 terrace factory that's being transacted. Okay, and the average rental is 1.2 million. So another word is this. So the proposition over here is this. You are a real estate agent on the ground and you want to do industrial. One of the segment that you want to look for, that you want to go in is actually terrace factory, because on averagely the price is 1.2 million. You close one deal, you get a 20,000 gross commission. Is better than you close 300,000 to 400,000. Yeah, if you look from that perspective, that will make sense. Okay, if you look at District of Klang, over the span of 5 years, 2015 to 2020, 782 transacted. Average rental is 980, close to $1 million. So this is what I call the sweet spot. The sweet spot of you as a real estate negotiator on the ground, and the more deals that you capture, the better it is. Am I right? So, so is it volume versus the value? Okay, do you close one deal a year and you earn 300,000, or do you close many deals to earn 300,000, or you go in between? So the sweet spot for me, as let's say if I'm doing sales on the ground, will be what is the composition of the average property transacted within that segment and within that area over the span of 5 years. And if averagely is about 1 million, and there is enough transaction to go for the agents that is penetrating in that area, then this is a segment that I would do. So proposition here is go and sell terrace factories. Okay, now this is a semi-D. Looks quite pretty okay. This is the one in that I was talking about, Surian Industrial Park. Probably this picture was taken in 2008. So as I was saying, a lot of people are using it for commercial. You don't get the double volume here. You don't even get the roller shutter. The roller shutter is so pathetic. It's just right at the side. Okay, so so you see, at that point of time, about 2008, when I approached some of my clients, especially those owners who own property in Balakong, All right, they don't really enjoy the commercial value then in Balakong. Of course, these days are different. When I tell them this is a semi-D, they're telling me it wouldn't work. All right, but I managed to sell a lot of units. I got client who invested it. Today is transacted is about 6 over million rental rate. Those days, those who bought it 3.1, the moment CCC or CF then it was issued, they were able to rent it out for 18,000. So very, very good return now because of commercialization. So semi-detached usage, again, you can have SME or I call it trading company services, could be after sales service, purely for office or commercial usage for showroom. Okay, and also for industrial usage as well. All right, of course, you can always do that, like industrial usage. Okay, now, so this is one of the projects that we are marketing, Glenmarie, and this is a cross section of a semi-D. Okay, what you see over here is a double volume, 30 feet of warehouse space, and then you have the ground floor entrance and the first floor, mezzanine floor. Then you have a first floor, second floor, and third floor. The big question is, too many floors? Yeah, maybe, yes, no, I don't think so. Now, personally, I'm quite very familiar with Glenmarie. Glenmarie has a certain good commercial value. And so for this particular project, where you have 1, 2, and 3 floors of, let's say, office space. Now, the segment that if you are selling this particular project, you should be targeting people who are using it for commercial usage, using it for after sales service, using it as an office. All right, you cannot be targeting for people who actually do not need so much of office space but need more of a warehouse. And naturally, if they need more of the warehouse, they will go into a detached factory. So when you have a product, you must be able to identify the market segment, yeah, so that you can fit the right product within the right market segment. So that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so again, for semi-D, minimum width, if it's meant for industrial usage, has to be 35. And these days, if you ask me, 35 to 40, definitely 150 amps or 200 amps. Shutter clearance is important. Okay, industrial usage means you got at least a 15 feet double volume. Yes, very important. Floor loading is at least 8 kilonewton per meter square. And but if let's say the semi-D is in an area that is commercial usage, where a lot of people will not rent it for industrial, then a minimum 30 feet is good enough. Above 100 amp is already good enough. Shutter clearance of 15 feet or even less, or even doesn't come with roller shutter, just come with glass paneling. All right, that is good enough. All right, as what you see in Suren Industrial Park, just two slides before this, the semi-D. Double volume not necessary. It's really not necessary. Floor loading also need not to be so high. Okay, so you must be able to match the right industrial property to that segment, also based on the location. Okay, yeah. Okay, so again, these are the semi-Ds. People are using it for commercial usage. This is Suren Industrial Park today. People are using it for showroom. Okay, for all you know, this could be a semi-D shop. Okay, but this is a semi-D factory. Now, just right back to back of Suren Industrial Park. Okay, so what you see over here is Suren Industrial Park. Back to back is actually Sungai Buloh. Okay, so you can see the huge distinction. And I remember those days when I was marketing it, the semi-D Suren Industrial Park is selling at 3.1, but a semi-D of what you see back to back is only much bigger with bigger land area, and is only selling at about 1.8, almost double, half of the price, And yet, those who invested in Suren Industrial Park enjoy a better capital appreciation because of the commercialization usage of this area. Okay, yeah. Now, okay, just to give you a bit of a figure on semi-D, like for example, in Tamasha 18 is going for 13 million. Hedgeford industrial area in BJ is going for 9 million now. Think about it. Again, a second proposition is this. If you are able to penetrate the semi-D, all you need is, if every quarter, like what I used to tell myself, and those days the semi-D is only 3 million. Today, every semi-D is at least a 5 to 6 million. If every quarter you close one, Okay, 1 year you close 4, and averagely is 6 million. You close 4 means it's 24 million. Is what? 24 is 480,000 gross commission. Can you imagine your income that you can get by just selling 4? And it's not tough, all right? Because you cannot say the value of property is very high. Do you need the spec? You don't need. Do you need that kind of technical information? You don't have to. You really do not have to. So can you see now why is it so easy to sell industrial property? Is easier than what you think it is. Yeah, okay. And how about rental case? A rental of semi-D ranges from, depending on the size and location, at least about 8,000 to about 21,000. Yeah, so can you imagine if 1 year you sell 2, okay, 12 million is 240,000, and 1 year you go and rent only 4, okay, and you probably get about 100,000. So all in all, your gross income is about 300,000. Hey, not too bad, huh? Not too bad. So you think about it, okay? So okay, now wait, this is I'm showing this. Okay, like for example, a rental, sorry, not rental, a selling price of a semi-D in this area. This is again Sungai Buloh Industrial Park, 4.2 million. The lease is probably about 80 years left. Now, so look at the semi-D transaction. Okay, averagely, between 2015 to 2020, 5 years data, the district of Petaling, the average transactor now is 5 million. All right. In the district of Klang, the average transactor is 3.8. So if you are doing the district of Petaling, averagely your semi-D that you sell is averagely 5 million. 1 year you sell for 20 million, 400,000 gross com. Yeah, so you see the sweet spot of volume versus value. This is the part that I can tell you is, yeah, salivating. So, okay, so I talk about terrace, I talk about semi-D. So another thing that is highly interesting is what we call industrial land within the industrial park, or some of it say ready to build. Now, in short, okay, are basically developer that has a large tract of land, they carve out industrial lot. Okay, let me just give you a example. Is as if, let's say, a developer were to build a bungalow lot resort where they sell you the bungalow lot, residential lot, so that when you buy, okay, you don't have to do anything anymore. Okay, you just submit in your building plan for the house, and once approved, we can start construction. All right. So, so this is for industrial park. For those who are not very familiar with industrial, so this is a similarity. Now, there is a growing trend of a lot of developers carving their land and sell. Okay, we call it ready to build is because when you buy the piece of land, you don't have to surrender the land to authority anymore because everything has already been done for you. So we call it ready to build, means once you get the land, you just submit building plan, approved team, you can build. All right. As opposed of, let's say you buy raw land, okay, where you can get it per square foot cheaper, definitely. But once you buy over, your net area that you can use will be smaller relative to the gross area that you buy. Okay, so in land, of course, when you sell, the things that you look at is efficiency. Of course, trapezium doesn't give you that kind of efficiency. Let's say from an investor's point of view, or even for usage as well, you will be better off selling perfect rectangular. Okay, so a couple of things that you need to know. Okay, when you sell industrial land, a corner lot may not necessarily be better. All right, why? Is because when you have a corner lot, okay, the requirement by the authority is you need to have a setback of 40 feet for your site that is facing the road. Okay, as compared to, let's say, if you have an intermediate plot, of course the minimum is 25, but these days, of course, people will build at least 30. Yeah. All right, so can you imagine if, let's say, you are an investor and you want to buy a 1 acre piece of land, yeah, so you have a choice of between the left and on the right. Then you say, hey, corner lot better, ma. Am I right? More exposure, what this and that. But you have to remember, these are not like super high-end commercial area. These are not like commercial retail space in a shopping mall. You know, where just a short distance away, yeah, the rentability may be higher or even lower. Okay, so another word is this: if you were to buy this piece of land, and you buy this piece of land at the same rate of per square foot, your return, your rate of return is less because your space that you can build is less. All right, because you need a setback of 40 feet. Okay, and of course, if you go on the trapezium means lagi not so efficient. A floor plate of this normally will be quite tough to be rented out. All right, so and of course you need to know from high tension area is 20 to 25 meters. So these are some basic that you need to know. All right, so once you know that, then that is all you need to know. All right, that's it. Okay, so a couple of things. Okay, this one just to show you that there's a wastage over here. Okay, so now so basically this is the end of the session. Okay, the whole purpose of me sharing this is to share with everyone, especially for those who are very new to industrial segment and you plan to go into the industrial sector. Let's recap. Go into terrace, semi-D, and go for detached, and you can also sell ready to build land. You know, as one you see normally over here. All right. Okay. So so these are the four segment that you can go in. Personally, try to avoid trying to go into, let's say, a 200,000 over kind of warehouse space in terms of rental especially. But if you can get the owner to lease a property with you of a large factory, of course you go and work on it. All right, so and you don't need to have a lot of technical knowledge when you sell terrace, when you sell semi-D. You really don't have to. When you sell land, yes, you are required to know a bit more, but it's not that difficult. Okay, but if you go into the logistic segment, okay, then you need to have a lot of technical information. Okay, and that is very, very niche. Okay, super competitive, and you've got to be highly specialized to be able to really penetrate that segment. So, but as what I showed, terrace, semi-D, and detached and land consists of more than 60% of the volume of transaction. So it makes sense for you to go into that segment. So selling semi-D, selling terrace, selling a smaller detached factory is not much different of selling your commercial shop lot, right? Okay, and so this is the end of the session. All right, any question that okay, just okay, before that, let me I have another slide. So I was talking about ready to build and raw land. So when you have a ready to build, okay, this is as what you've seen over here. Raw land, meaning to say, there's not within the industrial park. You can buy a piece of land, okay, and if your client say, hey, the green color one is cheaper per square foot, why are you selling 20% higher? It's because when your client were to buy the green color section at lower per square foot, when they take over and he wants to start building it, he may need to surrender. I'm just giving an example of a buffer of this pink color area. Okay, so road buffer setback to be surrendered to authority, that's a wastage. So I'm giving you a very simple example of between a raw land, okay, or ready to build land, okay. So that's why whenever you have a listing and your client is trying to compare, or you're marketing an industrial land that is within the industrial park ready to build, you tell your client say, you sure or not your price is this? Because the same area I can get a cheaper one. Is it cheaper that is ready to build, or is it a raw land? Because if it's a raw land, cheaper per square foot doesn't mean eventually the total that area that they is able to utilize can be cheaper. Sometimes it can be more expensive. And of course, the premium conversion in the state of Selangor from agriculture to industrial has gone up over the last 4-5 years. Yeah, so that's also a reason why a lot of interest of people to buy the ready to build land. All right, so I have come to the end of the session. I'm opening up for Q&A. Any questions? Anyone that would like to ask? Okay, I hope there's something that you take back today. Thank you, Min Chong. Okay, okay, thanks, Yosef. All right, any question? Yes, no, Can you go over volume versus value again? Volume versus value again. Can I go volume versus value? There's so many volume versus value that I shared. I don't know which particular part. Maybe this. Is this the one? Yeah. All right. Okay. Yep. Can restaurant be opened in industrial lot? The answer is yes, but it also depends on the local authority. Many years ago in Shah Alam, you're not allowed to, but these days I begin to see there's a cafe restaurant. The answer is yes, but also depends on the local authority. Most of the local authorities today allows you to operate restaurant. Okay. What are the best way to find industrial clients? Okay. CY. All right. What are the best way? Okay, let me share a little trick that is so simple. Okay, and if you manage to get this trick, I can tell you, you have abundance of client. So where do you get the industrial lots client? Am I right? Okay, it's as simple as lead generation. Now, we are in the business of lead generation. I say this many times now. In all honesty, getting a listing is not that difficult, right? Agree with me? Okay. Those who do not agree, you can put that in the chat group. Okay, getting listing is not the most difficult part. So now the situation is this. Okay, if you have industrial listing and you start doing your lead generation, you go and advertise. I property guru. You go and advertise in your Facebook. You go on massive campaign of advertisement. You will naturally attract industrial client. That's it. You have to start from a point. So to your answer would be, to your question, the answer would be, you need to start advertising industrial properties and you will attract industrial client. Am I right? For example, if you are selling Mercedes, how can you attract Mercedes client? It cannot be advertising Proton, all right? Yeah, so the product itself will help you to penetrate the segment, including the clientele base. Okay. Okay. Thanks for information on selling. My challenge in marketing industry is due to the high price ticket. The people whom we deal with tend to have a cut in the deal. Can advise how to handle this kind of client? Okay. Okay. So another word is there are too many parties who want to split. Party A, party B, C, D, E, everyone want to split, and you probably tend to spend more time trying to have a discussion with all the middlemen in between how much to split, and after that, at the end of the day, nobody closes the deal. All right, so that's a usual thing. Now, I do not have the full details of your deal, but generally, this is how we run our business. It's very simple now, and I say this many times. If you are, okay, for me, I wouldn't want to deal with I wouldn't want to do a transaction if I do not deal with the owner directly, okay, or the buyer directly. Or to the least is I co-broke with another agent that is dealing with the owner directly or with the tenant or buyer directly. So another word is I wouldn't want to do a deal where I cannot control. All right. So most of the deal that I used to do is I deal with both parties directly myself. Okay. So then the situation is this. Okay. You avoid all this sharing, split, and whatever not. That is number one. Now, number two, your question have two parts. Okay. High price ticket item. Now, pricing is just pricing. If it's high price because of absolute, and but the per square foot price is very well within the market rate, a deal is just a deal. All right. So again, is this: if you are selling a Bentley and you're selling a small little car, each product has its own segment. So like I say, whether you can get the client or not will depends on how strong your marketing is, your marketing campaign. All right. Okay. What about for new developer trying to price properly and of and small to mid-size? What about for new developer trying to price property of and okay, John, I don't really get your question. Seems to be incomplete. What about for new developer trying to price property? Okay, maybe you may want to rephrase that. Closing deal is most difficult, I feel. Closing deal is most difficult, I feel. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can agree to that, Casey. But you know, this is what I do. Um, Closing technique, you know, I share in the previous session, sell the feature, turn the feature benefit, advantage, testimony, and then you do the closing. That works very, very well, okay? Especially when you have a product that has a certain salability. Now, guys, always remember, we are running a business, not just based on one variable one. You are running a business based on three things here. Always remember your stock, the quality of your stock. All right. If you are dealing directly, okay, with the seller, okay, and you have the full authority, yes, and that particular property is also within a certain area that has a certain demand, has a certain salability. The next most important thing is you must be able to reach out and do your marketing campaign, your lead generation, because they are also in the business of lead generation. So using this product and you go for lead generation means you will attract that type of client. Am I right? Now the third thing is salesmanship. That is where your closing, your interaction. My previous session was saying that every single deal, it has to be relational in the eyes of your client, but not transactional. How often our client look at a lot of agents and say that, hey, this agent just want to close the deal and get a commission, am I right? So it has to be relational. So if you, Casey, if you bear these three in mind, okay, your closing will come quite pretty easy one. You must have the skill of getting good listing. All right, you must be able to analyze where the market is. That's why I share, you know, where the volume of transaction in terms of semi-detached within the district, so that if you are looking into industrial, you can go into this area, or even other types of segment, you got to do a bit of analysis. Am I right? So if you have a pretty okay listing, your marketing campaign is good, your salesmanship is good, you continuously come for training and you practice it, closing will be as easy as ABC. Yeah, I know it's still frustrating at times. Okay. Okay. Can developers sell factory before being built? The answer is yes. Say small number of semi-detached industrial. Yes, can. Yes, you sell off plan, just like any other types of property. Will this lesson recorded be uploaded in the box? Chan, you must be from S3. Yes. Okay. Alex contact. Okay. 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 So I think I've answered most of the question, right? If I miss it out, put in the chat. Come, guys, ask. I saw some of the feedback that in the session I run that I conducted earlier on. Apparently, my Q&A session I finished off too fast. So one of the comment is, please have more Q&A. Hey, I can stay online now for the next 2 hours, guys. Pretty scary, right? Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, how to check whether it's heavy duty factory? What do you mean by heavy duty? Heavy duty is quite a generic term. I think could be two things. Either the floor loading is meant for heavy duty usage, or it could be also meant for what you call you know, either light industrial, medium, or heavy industry. Yeah. So this is classification of land usage. All right, within industrial. Within industrial, there are three categories: light, medium, and heavy. All right, heavy normally, you know, will be meant for activities as high pollutants. All right, noise could be affluent, could be what you call smoke, could be even radioactive. So to answer your question, whether how do we determine whether it's heavy duty? If you are referring to the usage, then you have to look at the planning of that area. Okay, or if you're talking about physical usage itself, then it's floor loading. Okay, I hope that answer your question, CEO. Okay. What area are heavy zoning in Selangor area? Well, I don't have the information with me, but you can get it from the land office in terms of zoning. Okay, and I think you can even get it online as well. Okay, do you mind to conduct this session again one more time? Thank you. Conduct again. Yeah. There will be a repeat, but we will inform you. Phoebe, if you are in one of the three agency, then you'll definitely get the next repeat session. John, how to know what is right price to advise new industrial developer? Wow, okay. How to know what is the right price? You need to be okay. I think this is pretty much on the consultancy. Number one, you need to have the transacted data, okay, and the data has to be if you're in S3, CBD, and also Profia, we have system that you can actually get transacted data from JPPH. So you have to do an analysis, qualitative and quantitative, and then you must be able to present to your client. If you are just going to go into advertisement of let's say property guru, like what people are asking price, most of advertisement are actually asking price, and you use that data to advise your client, I wouldn't say it's wrong, but it's not a true representation of whether that would be a correct information that you're actually giving to your client. All right, then again, it also depends on the size of the developer. There's too many mixture of variables. One of the I'm not upselling here, okay. I'm not selling anything, but one of the division that we do in S3 is consultancy, advising client developers on various of things in terms of size, in terms of pricing, in terms of market analysis, and things like that. All right, okay. Maybe you should write a book on industrial properties. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, okay. All right. CTB more. What category for a recycle or oil filtration business that does not dispose smell and water into the drainage? Medium industry, yes, but you also have to check with the environmental department as well. Okay, I do not know exactly the tenant or the usage. Yes, you can basically classify as a medium. Okay, 4:32 now. How to check? Okay, I know the host is already signaling me. Okay, last question I'll ask. How to check the specific industrial zone is suitable for food processing, which required hygiene? Okay, normally if it's in the light industrial park, yes. Okay, so zoning and also all this you can check, with the land office, their website as well. You will be able to get it. All right, okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, and I hope there's something that you take back today. Okay, selling industrial is not as tough as what everyone thinks. Okay, so until then, I will see you guys. Thank you very much. I'll pass the whole session back to the host. Yep.
Okay, guys. Just before we all leave, please do leave back good feedback for us. I see a lot of you enjoy Aldrin's session, and this time around, at least he managed to answer all your questions from the top to toe. And yes, I do agree. The gentleman should write a book. Then we all can start reading it. Okay, and guys, please leave your feedback. So please also remember, all 150 to 200 of you, tomorrow again 3 p.m. get yourselves pumped up, get yourselves here, and most importantly, if you feel good, get more people to join this good energy. So tomorrow, stay tuned. We will see you back at 3 p.m. Most importantly, Aldrin, thank you so much for your time, and thank you to make your time to answer everyone's question one by one.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please do leave your feedback. I will leave this screen on for a short while.